Hi everyone. Today I'm gonna share something important about my life. So it started with going to a small school for most of your teenage life can genuinely affect you socially. I didn't realize it at the time, but my social skills were really limited because I was always around the same small group of people. I didn't really have to put myself out there, introduce myself to new people, or constantly interact with people I didn't know. So I became really comfortable being quiet. And then university was completely different. I started working a job and almost everyone around me was extremely extroverted, and most of the time they would talk to each other, joke around, start conversation, and just naturally connect with people. And then there was me, mostly just standing there and listening. I remember people would literally tell me, why are you so quiet? And one of the leaders even complained that I kept being this silent. It could affect the company because communication was so important there. And honestly, that hurt a little bit because I wasn't trying to be rude. I wasn't trying to be avoid people. I'm just an introvert and I genuinely didn't know how to suddenly become this super social person. And but there being around those people actually helped me a lot. I started talking more. I started becoming more comfortable around people. I realized one thing that social skills are not necessarily something you're just born with. It's a skill you will develop naturally. You can actually build them by putting yourself in situations where you have to communicate. There is no option. You just have to communicate every single day, and that is the thing I believe. So I went to a small school for most of my teenage life. My school wasn't huge and I was around pretty much the same group of people for years. Most of them were people I had known since my early school days. And because I was always around the same people, I never really had to step out of my shell. I never really had to learn how to make new friends, how to introduce myself to people I didn't know, or how to walk into a room where I didn't know anybody. Because a lot of the times people go to a different elementary school, a different middle school, and a different high school, and I went the same school from elementary to high school. But when you go from one middle school to another where you don't really know some of the kids are from your middle school, but a lot of them are new individuals. You are forced to interact, you are forced to make new friends, you are forced to put yourself out there. And I never had that. I was comfortable with my friend group since elementary school. For most of my school life, I had pretty much the same group of friends. There were new people who came along, of course, but I was always around people I already knew. And because I was so comfortable with the same group, I never really had to step out of my shell. I didn't really learn how to make new friends, how to introduce myself to people I didn't know, or how to walk into a room where I didn't know anybody. And eventually, it got to a point where I just didn't really know how to talk to new people. I was comfortable with the people I knew. But whenever I was around a completely new group, I would become really quiet. I was still using social media a lot during that time. I would talk to people through Facebook and Instagram, and I had people I knew in real life that I would message there. So I wasn't completely isolated or anything. But obviously, talking to someone through a screen is not the same as actually being around people face to face. I could easily reply to a message or have a conversation online. But when I was actually standing in front of someone new, it felt completely different. I didn't really know what to say or how to start a conversation. And I think it's that made me even more comfortable staying quiet. Some people just didn't have people to talk to. I did have my friend group, but a lot of the time, because I already had bad social skills, I would kind of just rot in my room on my own and occasionally text them back or occasionally start up a conversation. I didn't really know how to start a conversation, and I didn't really have anything interesting to talk about. One of my friends right now came to my school in 10th grade. He was in my friend group and then ended up going to a different friend group. We stayed acquaintances. There was no bad blood, but we didn't talk as much for a bit. Then senior year, we came close again. After rekindling our friendship, I was super hard to talk to from freshman to junior year. And he was like, yeah, you kind of aware. I was like, why did nobody tell me? It was kind of just a thing in my friend group during lunch. We don't really talk much. We would just sit there on our phones and show each other stuff occasionally. And it was just sad. I think it's multiple factors. One being the small school, which really had an influence because I didn't know how to introduce myself to new people. Even in college, the friends I have made were people that came to me, or not people that I went to, you know, which I want to change. I think being a commuter instead of living on campus has really affected me in that area. But in school, there was COVID, and social media or phone uses. This is the only, there was only three factors. Because I would also just sit in my room watching anime on my own. Sometimes people would text me and I would think I don't really want to talk. So I am just not going to respond for a couple of hours. There was no actual conversations. I just felt awkward talking to people, especially new people. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just felt it's really hard for me. I actually don't know. It's something that everyone from my graduating class talks about. Going to that small school really does affect you socially. I have had conversations with people I wasn't even really close to, and they all said the same thing. It really does stunt your growth socially. Getting a job really changed things. I've been working since I was 20. The first jobs I had were with people much older than me. But in my senior year, I started working at a place where everyone was around my age. I think it was literally my second day of work. We were cleaning up after closing, and one of the boy asked, "Do you want to go out with us after?" And I said, "Sure." I remember feeling so awkward because I didn't know how to talk to these people. I didn't know what to say or what to do. But after that, they kept inviting me out, and I noticed that I started getting a lot better at talking to them. The boy who invited me was probably the most social person I know. Genuinely, he really helped me come out of my shell. We started hanging out after work all the time. Sometimes we would stay out really late just talking. Another thing that helped me was taking a theater class in college. I took it because I needed a writing intensive class, but also because I was terrible at public speaking. I thought I need to get better at talking to people. The first time we had to present in front of everyone, I was freaking out. I genuinely thought I was going to pass out. My heart was pounding, I was sweating, it was a whole thing. But slowly it got better. Eventually, I became excited to perform instead of nervous. I noticed that switch happened and thought, wow, I guess you really can conquer your fears. I also started talking to more people in that class. We had partner activities, group work, and I ended up making friends. I even went to support one of them in a university theater performance. Afterwards, a bunch of us stayed together talking late into the night, and I remember thinking I would have never done this before. If I didn't take that theater class, if I didn't push myself, I would have never made those friends. So now I have been trying to put myself in situations where I am forced to leave my comfort zone. I am forced to talk to people. I am forced to unlearn the bad habits I learned from that small school. I'm going to go to my classes and try to talk to the people around me, and I'm going to try to make friends. I want to become a more social person. I don't want to feel socially anxious every time I walk into a room. These are the hurdles I have to jump. I have to break free from the cage my high school put me in. Let's hope I actually do it. I have been doing a lot more things that scare me recently, so I think I will hold myself accountable. So I will update.